I like to say that I teach from messiness, not mastery. And what I mean by that is I very often I'll share exactly the mess, inner challenge, the challenges, the obstacles that I'm working through, so that for a couple reasons. One is it liberates me and helps me like express this stuff that's happening. It's almost like a an audio diary, but also I do believe there's a deeper truth and a deeper meaning. It's that when somebody shares their challenges from a place of vulnerability and rawness and honesty, it literally helps everyone else feel more normal, feel more valuable, feel more worthy, because it invites other people to see themselves as a an imperfect perfect creation, just like everybody else. See, we are all imperfectly perfect. All right. And we do have challenges and we do have obstacles, and no one has it all figured out. No one ever will have it all figured out. And as soon as I like to say, one of my favorite spiritual teachers is Dr. Wayne Dyer. And he says, as soon as there's nothing more for you to learn and there's no additional challenges or obstacles in this world for you to navigate, to learn, to integrate, then you will turn into pixie dust. Like literally the reason for your life goes away, it vanishes. And I love that. I love that. What it helps us do is look at other people and say, as long as they're in a meat suit, as long as they're breathing, then they're facing challenges too. It's not just me. And when we share our messiness, it helps everyone else both learn from our challenges and obstacles, and we get to teach from that perspective. But it helps bring us all together and unite us and unify us and help other people trust each other and trust themselves. Trust themselves. So today I'm gonna teach from a messy place, some messiness that I'm experiencing right now, and this has been going on for a few months. All right. There was a time a few years ago, the Inner Wealth Mastermind, it built pretty quickly. It built steadily. It built quickly. I was having these workshops. What I would do is I would set up a workshop, a 2-day Choose Your Destiny live intensive, and there were a lot of eyes on me in the world, and my following was growing regularly because I was showing up on more stages, and the season of my life was just things were clicking. All right, things were clicking. I would get invited to speak on people's stages. From there, I would invite them to the Choose Your Destiny Live Intensive, or they would connect with me on Facebook or on socials, and I'd make a post, and then from that post, I would invite people into the Choose Your Destiny Live Intensive, and people would show up. And when we were at the intensive, the people got so enamored with the work and the energy of the room that they jumped in the mastermind, and the mastermind grew quickly. Right? Things were just clicking, and I'm snapping my fingers. If you can't hear that, I know if you're watching this on video, you're seeing it, but things were just clicking. It was like all systems were just go. That was the season of my life. All right. And we all know that seasons change. Now, I'm in a different season, and that season is yet to be named. That season is yet to be identified fully, but I could say that things just they're not building as quickly. There's not the momentum in business that I used to have. And I know all the hustle whores and grind gurus will say, just work harder, work harder. But listen, I'm doing all the things and the momentum is just not there. I'm still recording the podcast episodes. I got a speaking engagement this week. A Gateway to Freedom, by the way, g2free.com. If you want information about that event, g2free.com. Come see me. There's a 2-day real estate investing event, and I'm the final speaker of the second day. But anyway, so still speaking engagements, still podcast episodes, still holding workshops. It's just things aren't flowing as quickly and as easily as they were. Now, am I confident that one day at some point they will again? Yes, I am, because seasons exist. Seasons of fast, seasons of slow, seasons of build, seasons of dissolve. Different seasons happen. Life is not linear. when we expect everything to be linear all the time, we're going to be disappointed over 50% of the time, probably. But right now, I'm in a season where things aren't building as quickly. And a few weeks ago, I launched the Monkify Your Money game. I had a great episode on here. I believe it was episode 214, where I explained the 5 financial archetypes. And I launched the Monkify Your Money game live intensive. It's a 5-week virtual experience. Actually, not a live intensive, but a virtual experience. 5 weeks. Powerful teaching, powerful training. And I've done these same containers before, most of them 4 weeks, but these same containers, and got, 20 people, 15 to 20 people to register for the training. And it was awesome. And it was valuable, and it was impactful. The Inner Wealth Global made some money on the front end. We also had some additional followers, look at us in our mastermind and Choose Your Destiny live intensive. So things really clicked, and things went well within the virtual containers. And I launched the Monkify Your Money game. Now, listen, to be honest, just for full transparency, we've got 4 people to register right now. And the Monkify Your Money game starts Monday, October 13th. So it's just around the corner. But to try to get more eyes on Monkify Your Money game, the container, the live intensive or the virtual intensive, I launched Monkify Your Money game, the webinar. And that is actually today. And by the time you listen to this, that webinar will have already been over. Okay. Because this webinar or this episode will launch the 9th, and today is the 8th. So the webinar is actually tonight. But there's 11 people that have registered for Monkify Your Money Game webinar. So I used to get 40, 50 people to register for a webinar. Now, the vulnerability, the honesty that I would love to share, the messiness that I would love to share, it's like, frankly, I've been a little embarrassed. And I thought about canceling the webinar. I thought about canceling the event because there was part of me that was embarrassed. And what I love is I love this work, and I love getting inside and understanding when these things come up, when this resistance comes up, when the embarrassment comes up, when the shame comes up, when the fear comes up, when the anxiety, because it still shows up in me, right? We're all messy human beings, and we all have this messiness to clean up. As soon as the messiness is done, then you'll turn into pixie dust. But I started really reflecting to try to understand where the embarrassment was coming in, that was creating this thought, this idea to cancel these 2 containers where there's actually people that are enrolled. And here's what I came up with. Embarrassment it's shame. Embarrassment is the disconnect between your reality and your identity. And there's part of me that I've realized, part of me that's still identified with that guy in the season where everything clicked, everything built, and everything came pretty easily and naturally. And I was still identified as that guy. I actually built an identity on that guy, on those circumstances, on those outcomes. I talk about how I've let go of the identity of an imposter. I've let go of the identity of someone who's broken. I've let go of the identity of the old toxic, abusive father and husband that I used to be. I've let go of these identities. But what this embarrassment has helped me realize is that I just built a new identity based on success, based on outcomes, based on things that happened outside of me. And years into my coaching business, I built this identity. When things started really clicking, I built this identity on the circumstances that were happening in my life and the outcomes that were there. And that is a false identity based on based on an identity, not reality. The reality is, in this season, at this moment, at this juncture in the life of Mike Kitco, things obviously haven't meant to click as easily, as effortlessly, and just as quickly as they did at that time. And I've had seasons that things built quickly. This isn't the only season that I had where things built quickly, but this is just the latest. And in a cyclical pattern of life, I got attached to one of the high peaks, one of the high points, and I built a new identity of who Mike Kitco is based on that data point, that period of time. I hope this is making sense. And that identity, I built a nervous system. My nervous system became entangled and wrapped around that false identity that maybe it was reality then, but it is not reality now. And that's where the shame kicked in. That's where the embarrassment kicked in, because there's a gap and there's a disconnect between my identity and reality. And in a battle, in a conflict between identity and reality, we can either keep doubling and tripling down on trying to make reality look like this identity we've built, or we get to let go of the identity and stay true, stay authentic, stay aligned, stay in flow, and surrender to the present moment instead of trying to recreate the world and make the world and control the world and manipulate the world and bend the world into a reality that reflects our identity, instead of letting go of the identity that has created the conflict with reality. And this is like some Eckhart Tolle work. This is when he talks about becoming present and surrendering to the present moment. This is what Eckhart Tolle is talking about. And the embarrassment that I've been experiencing, that I've experienced, is just, it's a signal flare. It's a signal flare that has arrived to, that's in my body that I've felt and that I've experienced. It's a signal flare that's saying, hey, there's something out of alignment with who we identify as and what reality really is at this current juncture in our life. And this creates resistance to the present moment. So the embarrassment was the signal that I was resisting the present moment instead of surrendering to it and honoring it, which creates joy, which creates peace, which creates liberation. Now listen, this isn't to say that we just give up, that we just stop taking action, that we just stop looking to influence higher level circumstances. That's not to say that. I am still an action taker. I still post content. I still record podcast episodes. But this is giving me a deeper look into the identity, the false identity that I built around a period of time where in that season, it was obvious, because the way things actually transformed, the way things shaped in my life, the way things reshaped, how easily, effortlessly, and simply, quickly, how fast everything unfolded. It was obvious in that moment, in that season, I was there to learn something different than what I'm here and ready to learn right now. And I hope this is making sense. There's a saying that a truly humble human being cannot be embarrassed, because embarrassment is the echoes, or is the signaling of false pride, of unhealthy pride. And that's what the shame of embarrassment is. It's unhealthy pride showing up, trying to get your attention to be let go. Because in that moment, I could either continue to resist the present moment or surrender to it, and they look different. If I resist it, I cancel the webinar and I cancel the 5-week intensive. If I surrender to it, and that's to try to protect my fragile ego, if I were to cancel everything, that would be to protect my fragile ego, my fragile identity, this false narrative that I was feeding to myself, this temporary identity, this temporary concept, self-concept that I had built around circumstances and outcomes, and to try to protect that, maybe to lie to people and say, oh, I'm just, I'm not interested in hosting this anymore and refunding money and all this stuff to protect my fragile ego. Or I can say, you know what? I've got 11 people that have registered for the webinar. I've got 4 people that registered for the 5-week training. I'm going to teach who shows up. And when I teach who shows up, the exact perfect outcome and circumstances will happen, not based on an identity that I'm holding, but based on the perfection of the present moment. But any resistance to the present moment is fighting with the present moment, and there's no way to win in a battle between reality and your vision. But we can create a lot of resistance between our vision and reality, our identity and reality. And in this moment, in this season, where reality is showing me that maybe it's time to slow down, maybe it's time to throttle down a little bit, maybe it's time to build a different self-concept. Maybe it's time to learn how to surrender to the present moment. Maybe it's time to let go of some unhealthy pride. Maybe it's time to realize that my identity is not as I see it and as it's been built. But maybe I'm learning that reality is my identity, not this false narrative, this false concept that I've built inside of my mind and my body. Now, the nervous system, and this has been week after week that I've been doing episodes on the nervous system. The nervous system is giving me signals of fight, flight, or freeze, that there's danger, or I'm going to be seen as weak, or I'm going to be exposed, or what are they going to think of me? And maybe the nervous system is trying to fear judgment or trying to avoid judgment. But I get to let all of that go and surrender to reality instead of try to protect these things and do things that probably, frankly, would be dishonest in terms of just quitting. Not as much dishonest, but out of integrity with who I am, with my core values, and with who I decided to be in any given moment. Listen, by the time you read, or by the time you watch or listen to this episode, the webinar will already have been gone. It will already been executed. And the next thing in my life will be Gateway to Freedom on Sunday and the Monkify Your Money Game 5-week live intensive on Monday. But in both of these, there's one thing I can commit to you. I'm going to be in integrity. I'm going to be honest, vulnerable, and real, and not try to protect the nervous system that's telling me that there's false danger, that fears judgment, and that fears being seen differently than I really am. And what I am is I am a lover of reality, and I'm a lover of living in reality in a state of freedom. And in order to do that, You got to let go of any resistance to the present moment perfection and this concept that things always need to be the way I want them to be. We can stay true to our vision. We can stay true to the vision that we've created, but we do not have to fight the present moment in order to make that vision come true in the season that it's meant to come true. And in a battle between my vision and reality in the present moment, there's only joy in reality in the present moment. I hope this is making sense. That's what I commit to you. When I launch something like this, when I launch something like Monkify Your Money Game, the webinar or the live intensive, I'm going to show up to teach and train whoever shows up. That's my commitment to you. But please understand, at this point, I don't have everything figured out. And that's why I teach from messiness and not mastery. I hope this episode has helped you let go of a self-concept that is fighting the present moment. And I hope it's helped you feel a little more normal in your skin, as we all live some sort of messiness, but some people and most people are just trying to protect that messiness and just show up as masters. I love you guys. Thanks for listening. Thanks for your ongoing support in this on this podcast. And I'll continue to double down and triple down on integrity and showing up real, raw, vulnerable, and always being honest about where I am. Right now, this season, I'm being taught to accept and surrender, not to just keep growing in my outcomes and circumstances.